a curse that spans centuries, a girl caught between blood and vengeance, and a love that can destroy or save the world. This is the story of Samara and the Vampire King. Welcome to Tales by Crimson Moon. Here we tell stories of forbidden love, dark destinies, and worlds where vampires, werewolves, and humans collide. If this is your kind of tale, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell, so you never miss a chapter of this haunting journey. This is the Beaumont Estate, a mansion older than the city itself, raised on blood, iron, and power, and at the heart of this empire is their only daughter, Samara Beaumont. She is striking, impossibly beautiful, with raven dark hair and pale, perfect skin. Her presence is regal, yet restless. She carries herself like a queen in waiting, but her eyes betray her, eyes that search, eyes that hunger for something beyond these walls. Though her parents dress her in silks, drape her in jewels, and call her their crown, Samara feels the chains in every compliment. She has been told since birth that she is the Beaumont jewel, the one who will preserve the family's wealth, expand their power, and marry into prestige. But Samara has always been different. Late at night, while her parents sleep, Samara wanders into the old library, a forgotten wing of the mansion where dust lies thick on every shelf. By candlelight, she reads forbidden manuscripts, histories her parents never speak of. There she discovered the stories of the last vampire king. The books call him a monster, a shadow who lived centuries ago, a being her ancestors fought and defeated. But as Samara reads deeper, she feels the histories are incomplete. The texts describe a massacre, men, women, and children slaughtered in one night. The words drip with pride, celebrating how the Beaumont line and other hunters eradicated an entire clan. But between the lines, Samara senses sorrow, pain, betrayal, and she feels something dangerous: sympathy. Now her 18th birthday has come, a day celebrated by the Beaumont family not as a girl's passage into womanhood, but as the crowning moment of their legacy. For on this night, Samara inherits her family's fortune, their lands, their empire. Her parents, Marcus and Helena Beaumont, have spared no expense. The halls glitter with preparation. Nobles from every corner of the kingdom are arriving. The air itself reeks of power and politics. And as though she were a trophy, Samara is paraded as the prize. Dozens of heirs, sons of dukes, princes, and powerful lords, have come to win her hand. They see her not as Samara, the girl with dreams and restless eyes, but as wealth wrapped in silk, a name that would make them greater, a jewel they can claim. Samara sits quietly, her face painted in beauty, her smile polite, but her heart is heavy. She does not want them. She does not want this. She wants freedom, truth, something beyond the suffocating banquet of false smiles. And yet, while she does not know it, fate has already chosen her path. The vampire king she once read about is not gone. His story is not finished. And tonight, beneath the gaze of the full moon, as Samara stands on the edge of inheritance and duty, his shadow is already moving. Their worlds are about to collide. And nothing, not wealth, not blood, not destiny itself, will ever be the same. We see them. A hidden camp deep in the woods lit by fires and lanterns. Families gathered, children dancing. Warriors sharpening blades not for conquest but for ritual. Women weaving charms of protection, men carving symbols of pride into wood and stone. This was no kingdom of monsters. This was the last sanctuary of the vampire clan. Fangs flash not in hunger, but in smiles. Red eyes gleam not with malice, but with warmth. For all their power, these were a people who loved, who dreamed, who lived. And at the center of it all, their king. He was not yet the figure of terror whispered in human tales. No, he was strong, proud, draped in black and crimson robes, His presence commanded respect, but his laughter carried gentleness. He was a father to his people, a protector sworn to guard them against the cruelty of mankind. For generations, they had lived in secret, avoiding conflict, feeding only from willing sources or in sacred rituals. They were predators, yes, but not savages. And under the king's rule, peace had lasted. But peace is a fragile thing, and humans, greedy in their pursuit of power, had learned where the vampires slept. It began with a sound. Horns. Distant at first, then thunderous. The earth trembled with the march of armored men. The vampires looked up from their fires, confusion shifting to fear. The king rose instantly, his eyes narrowing. He knew that sound. He had heard it in wars long past. Hunters. Before the clan could scatter, before mothers could hide their children, the forest erupted in flames. Arrows tipped with fire rained down, igniting tents and setting the night ablaze. Screams filled the camp. Then came the men. Armored hunters, faces painted with blood, bearing the insignia of the great houses. At their front, the Beaumont crest. Marcus's ancestors, the hunters showed no mercy. Blades fell. Crossbows loosed silver bolts. Holy water hissed as it struck flesh, burning holes into bodies that once held laughter. Children were dragged into the fire. Mothers cut down as they screamed for mercy. Warriors fought valiantly, but for every hunter slain, 3 more appeared. It was not war. It was extermination. The king fought like a storm. His blades sang with fury, cutting down man after man, but there were too many. He watched as his generals fell, as his council was butchered, as his people, his children, burned around him. He roared, his voice shaking the trees. But even a king cannot fight the tide alone. A silver spear pierced his side. Holy fire licked at his cloak. He staggered, gripping his wound, eyes blazing not with pain but with grief. From the smoke he saw them, a small group of hunters standing triumphant atop a hill, their leader raising a torch high. And beside him, the banner of the Beaumont family fluttered proudly in the night. The very same bloodline that now celebrated Samara's birthday. By dawn, the camp was gone. The fires smoldered over ash and bone. Where once there was laughter, only silence remained. The forest reeked of blood and smoke. And among the ruins, only one figure remained standing. The king. His body was broken, his clothes torn, but his spirit burned hotter than ever. He stood amidst the corpses of his people, crimson eyes glowing like embers in the dark. He looked to the sky, his face twisted in anguish and rage, and he made a vow. By the blood they spilled, by the lives they stole, I will not rest. I will not forgive. The Beaumont line, and all who share their name, will suffer as I have suffered. I am the last king of night, and I swear, an eye for an eye. Lightning split the sky. His scream thundered through the forest, echoing across generations. A curse was born. Samara sits in the library, reading the same manuscripts that describe this massacre. Her candle flickers as though stirred by the ghost of his vow. She frowns, fingers trembling slightly. The words she reads describe monsters, but the way they're written, cold, triumphant, tells her more about her family than the so-called creatures they destroyed. And deep down she wonders, who was the true monster? Her family, or the king who rose from their ashes? Samara's trembling fingers closes the ancient manuscript. The candle beside her guttered as though someone had breathed upon it, casting the library into a trembling half-light. Her heart races. The vow of the king echoes in her mind. The Beaumont line will suffer as I have suffered. For the first time, the stories of her family don't feel like glorious tales of victory. They feel like confession. But before she can dwell longer, the great bell of the estate tolls midnight, the final hour before her banquet begins. Samara inhales deeply, trying to steady herself. Tonight she must smile. Tonight she must wear the crown of Beaumont pride. But somewhere in the dark, something stirs. The estate is alive with light and music. Candles blaze in golden chandeliers. The long dining hall gleams with polished silver and crystal goblets brimming with red wine. Nobles, lords, and allies of the Beaumont family gather in silks and jewels, their laughter echoing through vaulted ceilings. At the head of it all, Marcus Beaumont, patriarch, smiling with pride. Tonight was not only a celebration of Samara's 18th year, but also of her impending union to strengthen the family's influence. Samara descends the grand staircase, every eye upon her. Her gown shimmers like woven moonlight, her hair crowned with pearls. Guests murmur admiration. She is the very image of beauty, of Beaumont power. But behind her graceful smile, unease coils. The manuscript's words linger in her heart, whispering doubts against the tide of music and wine. Far beyond the walls of the estate, in the dense woods where the moonlight drips silver across the trees, shadows stir. The king. He moves unseen, his cloak blending with the night, his eyes burning like twin embers. He has waited for this night, the night the last Beaumont daughter comes of age. With every step closer to the estate, he feels the ghosts of his people urging him on. He does not walk alone. He walks with centuries of vengeance at his back. From the hills, his gaze falls upon the glowing mansion, a beacon of wealth built upon ashes. His lips curl into the faintest smile. Let the feast begin. Laughter swells as wine flows. Samara sits at the banquet's head beside her father. Her betrothed, a proud young noble with cold, calculating eyes, raises a toast in her honor. Tonight, we celebrate Samara Beaumont, jewel of our house. May her beauty shine eternal, and may her union secure our dominion for generations. The guests cheer, goblets clink, music swells. Samara forces a smile but feels the weight of chains in every word. Eternal? Dominion? Was she a jewel, or a prisoner gilded for display? Her eyes wander to the tall windows. Beyond them, the night looks deeper than usual, heavier, almost alive. And then, for a heartbeat, she sees him. A figure standing beyond the glass, cloaked in shadows, eyes glowing red, watching, waiting. She gasps softly, her goblet trembling in her hand, but when she blinks, the figure is gone. The banquet proceeds. Dancers twirl across the marble floor, their steps rehearsed, their laughter practiced. Samara is led into the dance, her movements graceful, her face radiant. Yet her heart beats wildly, as if a predator circles unseen. Her partner leans in, whispering, "You are trembling, my dear. Are you unwell?" Samara forces a smile. "I am fine." But her eyes flick again to the windows, to the shadows pressing closer. A sudden gust rattles the chandeliers. Candles flicker. The music stumbles for half a breath before resuming. Guests murmur, unsettled. Then, a scream. The doors at the far end of the hall burst open. A servant staggers inside, pale and wide-eyed, blood staining his collar. He collapses to the floor, choking out a single word before going still. Vampires. The hall erupts in chaos. Guests rise in panic. Soldiers draw blades. Marcus barks orders. But Samara remains frozen, her breath caught in her throat. Because she knows. He has come. The candles blow out all at once. Darkness engulfs the hall. Then slowly, impossibly, each flame rekindles, not golden but crimson. The chandeliers glow with blood-red fire, painting every face in shades of horror. And at the center of the hall, where no door had opened, he stands. The King of Night. Tall, cloaked in black and silver, his presence fills the room with ancient power. His eyes blaze red, his aura suffocating. Around him, the air itself seems to bow. The nobles gasp, some falling to their knees from sheer terror. Soldiers raise blades but dare not advance. The king's gaze sweeps across the hall, lingering on Marcus with cold fury. But when his eyes fall upon Samara, they soften just slightly. The hall is silent as his voice, deep and resonant, breaks the air. Beaumont blood, your time is ended. The crimson glow from the chandeliers drenches the hall in a terrible beauty. Goblets spill. Nobles huddle together in corners. Soldiers line the walls with trembling swords. At the center, two men of power stare at each other. Marcus Beaumont, patriarch, face carved with pride and fury, his jeweled sword gleaming. The vampire king, cloaked in shadow, his crimson eyes burning like molten coals. Between them, Samara, frozen in place, her breath shallow, her pulse racing. The hall itself seems to hold its breath. Marcus steps forward, voice sharp as steel. You dare invade the house of Beaumont. You dare threaten my bloodline. The king's lips curve into a cruel smile. Your bloodline butchered mine. You speak of daring, Marcus? You, the butcher of the night clans? The words cut deeper than any blade. Gasps ripple through the nobles. Whispers erupt. Butcher. What does he mean? Marcus's jaw tightens. His voice roars like thunder. That war was justice. You monsters deserved the fire we gave you. The king's eyes blaze, and for a moment the hall itself trembles as if the stones remember the screams of the past. Justice? He hisses. You slaughtered children. You burned mothers alive. You left me to crawl through ash while their screams clung to my soul. Tonight, Marcus Beaumont, justice will find you. And with that, the king moves. Faster than the eye can follow, Marcus swings his jeweled blade. The king parries with a flash of silver fangs and shadow-forged steel, his own blade hissing through the air. Sparks explode as steel collides. The soldiers rush forward, but with a single sweep of the king's hand, shadows ripple across the floor like living snakes, knocking them back as though swatted by an invisible beast. Screams rise, goblets crash, nobles scatter. But Samara does not move. She cannot. Her eyes are locked on the king, on the grace with which he moves, on the strange familiarity that coils in her chest, as though she has seen him in dreams long before this night. Marcus shouts, his strikes relentless. He is strong, seasoned, but every blow he lands is met with equal force. You will not have my daughter, Marcus roars, his blade aiming for the king's throat. For a fleeting instant, Samara's breath stops. The king sidesteps, and instead of retreating, he seizes Marcus by the throat, lifting him high above the banquet table. Plates crash to the ground. The crimson light burns brighter. Your daughter? The king snarls, fangs bared inches from Marcus's face. Your daughter is innocent. She is not your shield. And then, his eyes flick just for a heartbeat, to Samara. That one glance, that pause, it saves Marcus's life. For now. With a furious growl, Marcus slashes upward, cutting the king's shoulder. Black blood sprays, hissing where it touches silver. The king staggers back, fury igniting. Samara gasps, rising from her chair. Her lips part, but no sound escapes. She wants to scream, to beg them to stop, to demand answers. But her body is frozen in terror. The king's gaze catches hers once more, softer this time, almost questioning, as though her very presence is a chain around his wrath. For the briefest moment his fury dims, but Marcus sees only weakness. He lunges forward, sword raised high to strike the king through the heart. Samara screams, finally breaking her silence. Father, stop! The cry echoes like thunder. The king whirls, catching Marcus's blade in his palm. Black blood flows, but his grip does not waver. With a roar, he twists, snapping Marcus's sword in half like glass. The nobles scream in terror. Marcus stumbles back, eyes wide, chest heaving. For the first time, he looks afraid. The king raises his blade, ready to end it, vengeance within reach. Samara rushes forward, placing herself between them, her arms spread, her voice trembling but defiant. No, enough, no more blood. The hall gasps. The king freezes, his blade inches from her. His crimson eyes bore into hers, a storm of rage and something deeper swirling within them. Samara's voice cracks. If you kill him, you'll be no better than he is. The king's jaw clenches. His fangs glisten in the crimson light. Every instinct demands vengeance, but her words, her presence, hold him back. For the first time in centuries, the king hesitates. A sudden horn blares outside, the estate guards rallying reinforcements. The king snarls, shadows coiling around his form like serpents. His voice drops low, dangerous, but tinged with something almost tender as he looks at Samara. This is not finished, little dove. And with that, his form dissolves into smoke, vanishing into the crimson night. The chandelier's flames return to gold. The hall is left in ruin. Marcus collapses into a chair, clutching his wounded arm, face pale with fury and fear. This is war, he mutters. But Samara stands in silence, trembling, her heart torn between horror and something she cannot name. For though the king nearly killed her father, she cannot erase the memory of his eyes on hers. Eyes that had promised vengeance, but whispered something else, something like longing. The golden flames of the chandeliers flicker uneasily as silence hangs heavy over the banquet hall. The nobles whisper among themselves, pale and trembling. Servants rush to gather broken glass and overturned tables, though their hands shake too badly to work. Marcus Beaumont sits slumped in his chair, arm bandaged but still bleeding, his face carved with fury. He pounds the armrest with his fist. This is war, he growls again, louder this time, as though to hammer the words into stone. But Samara doesn't hear him. Her mind replays the moment again and again. The king's eyes, inches from hers. The way his blade had stopped at her command. The strange softness that flickered in his gaze, if only for a heartbeat. Why? Why would the king of night, sworn enemy of her blood, hesitate? Her fingers tremble as she clutches the pearls at her throat, suddenly feeling them like chains. Marcus calls his most trusted allies, nobles, generals, hunters. They gather around the long table, speaking in hushed but urgent tones. One general slams a map of the region onto the wood. The king has revealed himself. His power is greater than expected. We must act quickly, strike their hidden nest before they rise. Another noble, pale with fear, whispers, "If he could walk into this hall unchallenged, what chance do we have?" Marcus snarls, standing to his feet despite his wound. "We are Beaumonts. We do not cower before shadows. We burn them." The nobles nod, some with conviction, others with dread. Plans are made, scouts sent, weapons forged. But Samara watches silently, her chest heavy. Every word of war, every plan of vengeance, feels like a cycle repeating. A wheel that never breaks, blood for blood, ash for ash. And somewhere in her heart she wonders, is there another way? Later that night, Samara slips away from the council and retreats to her chambers. The silks and gold around her feel suffocating, mocking. She stares into the mirror. Her reflection looks pale, her eyes shadowed. She whispers to herself, "Why did he stop?" Her hand brushes the window. The moon outside is swollen, heavy with light. She thinks of the legends again. The last king of night, cursed to wander alone, fueled by vengeance. And for reasons she cannot explain, her chest aches. Far beyond the Beaumont estate, deep within the ruins of an ancient cathedral swallowed by vines and shadow, the king appears. His form coalesces from smoke, collapsing onto the cracked stone floor. His shoulder bleeds black, the silver wound hissing like fire. He growls in pain, tearing the blade shard from his flesh and tossing it aside. Around him, his loyal followers, the few remaining vampires who survived in secret, rush forward. "Your Majesty!" cries one, a tall warrior with scars across his face. "You are wounded." The king raises a hand. "Leave it. It will heal. The blade was silver, but it is nothing I have not endured before." But his gaze drifts, not to his wound, not to his enemies, to her, Samara, the way she had stood before him, the way her voice had broken through his fury. Why? Why did he not kill Marcus when vengeance was within reach? His follower notices his silence. "What troubles you, my king?" The king's crimson eyes narrow. "Nothing," he lies. But when night falls heavy across the ruined cathedral and the others rest, he remains awake. His hand brushes the scar at his shoulder, his mind circling endlessly around the image of her face. And that night, Samara dreams. In her sleep she wanders through fog, barefoot, her gown trailing across cold stone. She hears a voice, deep, haunting, familiar. "Little dove." She turns. There he is, the king. Not cloaked in rage, but standing before her, his eyes glowing softer now, like embers rather than fire. "Why are you in my dreams?" she whispers, trembling. He tilts his head. "Why are you in mine?" Her breath catches. And then she wakes, heart racing, the whisper of his voice still lingering in her ears. At dawn, Marcus enters her chamber. His face is grim, but his words are firm. "Samara, you will remain here until this war is ended. You will not leave these walls, do you understand?" Samara looks at him, eyes narrowing. "And if I refuse?" Marcus' jaw tightens. "You are my daughter, and you are the jewel of our family's future. You will obey." He leaves before she can respond. Samara grips the edge of her bed, fury boiling within her. Jewel, future, prisoner. Her life, once gilded, now feels like a cage of stone. And still, in the back of her mind, she hears that whisper again. "Little dove." The moonlight still lingers on Samara's window as dawn rises. She stands unmoving, her hand pressed against the glass as if she could touch the very air that binds her to something far beyond the Beaumont estate. Her reflection looks pale, her eyes shadowed with secrets. She whispers to herself, "Why do you haunt me?" The silence answers only with the faint rustle of the curtains. But somewhere, beyond forests and ruins, the king sits on his crumbling throne, the same moonlight dying into dawn across his face. His crimson eyes narrow. His followers watch him from a distance, uneasy. Marcus keeps his word. By morning, guards patrol every corridor of the Beaumont mansion. Iron gates are shut, windows barred. Samara becomes a prisoner in her own home. At breakfast, she sits at the long table, her plate untouched. Marcus, arm bandaged, speaks with cold determination. "You will remain safe within these walls, Samara. Soon I will crush the king and his brood, and this will be behind us." Samara's fork clatters against her plate. Her voice is sharp, trembling with both fury and despair. "Safe or caged?" Marcus glares at her, but before he can respond, her mother, pale and trembling from the wounds she suffered at the banquet, speaks weakly. "She has a point, Marcus. Perhaps—" "Silence," Marcus snaps, cutting her off. "Samara will obey. She is a Beaumont, and I will not lose her." Samara rises, her chair scraping the marble floor. Her voice is ice. "You've already lost me." She storms out, leaving her father seething, her mother staring at her with quiet sorrow. Deep in the ruined cathedral, the king's followers gather. There are fewer than a dozen, survivors of fire and blade, scarred and hardened. They speak in hushed tones of vengeance, urging their king to strike again. "My lord," says the scarred warrior who had tended his wounds, "the Beaumonts prepare for war. Their armies gather. If we wait, they will hunt us down as they did before. We must strike swiftly." The king leans forward, his crimson eyes burning. "And what would you have me do? Burn their halls? Slaughter their nobles in their beds? Repeat the same cycle that has cursed us all?" The warrior hesitates, confused by the king's hesitation. "You swore vengeance. Have you forgotten?" The king rises, his cloak unfurling like wings of shadow. "I forget nothing." But as his words echo through the ruined cathedral, his thoughts betray him. He remembers the girl who stood between him and vengeance, the voice that called him back from the brink, Samara. Her name lingers unspoken on his lips. Days pass. Samara becomes restless. The walls of the estate close in around her. Guards shadow her every step, whispering orders from her father. One night, unable to bear the silence, she sneaks into the library again. She runs her hands along the old manuscripts, searching for fragments of truth. And there, in the margin of one brittle page, she finds it. A prophecy of the third full moon. On the third rising, the blood of hunter and the blood of knight will cross, their fates entwined, their worlds unmade and remade. Her hands tremble. Could it be? Could she and the king be bound by something older, something deeper than revenge? Her pulse quickens. And in that moment, she knows she cannot stay in this cage. The king walks the ruins at night, his footsteps echoing against broken stone. He remembers his clan, their laughter, their faces, the screams as fire consumed them. His hand grips the scar Marcus gave him, but his mind drifts elsewhere. To Samara. Why had she stood for him? Why had her eyes pleaded with him? Why did her voice linger like a balm to his rage? He stops beneath the broken arch of the cathedral, staring at the stars. His whisper is low, almost to himself. Little dove. Why you? That night Samara dreams again. The same fog, the same cold stone underfoot. But this time she doesn't wander aimlessly. She runs, as though drawn to something, and then she sees him. The king, standing beneath a crumbling arch, his cloak billowing, his eyes not cruel but searching. Why do you haunt me? She whispers. He turns, his voice low, rich, dangerous, yet almost gentle. Because you haunt me. Their eyes meet. The world stills. She takes a step closer. You killed my people. His jaw tightens. And yours killed mine. Silence falls, heavy and raw. But then he reaches for her hand. She hesitates him but does not pull away. Their fingers almost touch. Almost. And then she wakes, gasping, her heart thundering. The next day Marcus notices Samara's distraction, her pale cheeks, her faraway eyes. He storms into her chamber. What are you hiding from me? He demands. Samara meets his gaze with defiance. Truth. The truth you've buried beneath gold and blood. Marcus strikes the wall with his fist, furious. You speak like one of them. Do not forget who you are. Samara's voice rises, breaking with pain. Do not forget what you've done. The silence that follows is heavier than any blow. Marcus leaves without another word, but Samara knows. The walls of this mansion will choke her if she does not escape. Inside, Samara's chamber glows faintly from a single candle. She sits on the edge of her bed, boots laced, cloak pulled tight. Her heart pounds in her chest. Her whisper is barely audible. Tonight. Samara presses her hand to the old parchment she had found in the library. The prophecy. Her fingers trace the inked words again. On the third rising, the blood of hunter and the blood of knight will cross, their fates entwined. The words burn in her mind. Whether destiny or madness, she knows only one thing. She cannot wait behind her father's walls. She ties the parchment beneath her cloak, extinguishes the candle, and listens to the guards below. Their voices echo faintly. Keep the lady safe. Marcus will have our heads if she slips. A bitter smile curves her lips. You know nothing of cages. The mansion slumbers. Samara moves like a shadow, barefoot until she reaches the servants' quarters. She takes the narrow passageway, the one no guard patrols because it leads only to the old stables. But Samara knows better. She had explored these halls as a child, chasing fireflies and secrets. The stables creak, the scent of hay and dust heavy in the air. She pushes aside the loose boards of the wall, revealing a gap just wide enough to slip through. The forest beyond waits, dark and endless. Her heart hammers. For the first time since the banquet, she breathes freely. But the night has teeth. The trees close in quickly, their branches twist like skeletal fingers, the wind sighing with secrets. Samara clutches her cloak tighter, every crunch of leaves beneath her boots sounding too loud. She whispers, "Just keep moving." But then, a howl, low, mournful, not of anything she has ever heard. It shivers through the air, echoing between the trees. Samara freezes, and then she sees them. Eyes, dozens of them glinting red in the shadows. Figures step forward, not human, not fully. Creatures of the night, feral vampires, nothing like the king. Their forms are twisted, starved, more beast than man. Outcasts who feed without code or clan. One snarls, fangs bared. Pretty prey, alone. Samara stumbles back, her dagger drawn though her hand trembles. Her father had taught her to fight, but never against this. They circle her. Closer. Closer. Samara whispers a prayer she's not sure anyone will hear. And then, the shadows shift. A voice cuts through the growls, deep and commanding. Enough. The feral vampires freeze, hissing. Their eyes dart to the ruins of shadow, where a tall figure emerges. Cloak black as night, eyes burning crimson. The king. Samara's breath catches in her throat. The world seems to tilt. He is more terrible, more magnificent than in her dreams. The ferals bow low, whimpering. "My lord." But his gaze is not on them. It is on her, Samara. The ferals hesitate, hungry but fearful under their king's stare. One dares to protest. She is prey, master. Sweet, hunter's blood. In a flash, the king seizes the creature by the throat. His voice is a growl, filled with authority that shakes the forest. "She is mine." He snaps the feral's neck, letting the body drop like a broken doll. The others scatter into the shadows, cowed by his fury. Silence falls. Only the night wind moves. Samara stands frozen, dagger trembling in her hand. The king steps closer. Each movement is slow, deliberate, like a predator giving prey the chance to flee, though both know she will not. Their eyes lock. Samara forces words through her trembling lips. You were in my dreams." The king's gaze flickers, unreadable. His voice is low, velvet edged with steel. "And you in mine." The forest seems to hush around them. Samara sways, her knees weak, torn between terror and something she dares not name. "Why me?" For the first time, the king's eyes soften. Not much, but enough to show the fracture beneath the mask. I have asked myself the same. The silence stretches. Finally, Samara steadies herself, lifting her chin. "My father will kill you if he finds you." The king's lips curve in something between a smirk and a grimace. "Your father has tried." She swallows hard, her pulse racing. "Then why save me?" His answer is immediate, almost too swift. "Because I could not let them touch you." The rawness of the words leaves them both stunned. Before Samara can respond, torches flare in the distance. Voices rise, her father's guards, searching the woods. "Lady Samara, this way." Her eyes widen. Panic surges. The king steps back into the shadows, his cloak swirling. His voice is a whisper, meant only for her. "Go, but know this, you cannot hide from me, nor from yourself." And then he is gone, dissolving into the night as though the forest itself had swallowed him. Samara staggers back, just as the guards break through the trees. They find her pale, shaken, dagger in hand. "My lady, what are you doing here?" one cries. She shakes her head, words failing. She whispers only one name under her breath, unheard by them. "King." The guards lead Samara back to the mansion. Her father waits at the gates, his fury barely contained. But Samara hardly hears him. Her mind is elsewhere. In the forest, where crimson eyes had found her, where the truth she feared had begun to unfold. Far away, in the ruins of the cathedral, the king sits upon his throne of stone. His hand clenches the armrest, his whisper low and dangerous. "She will come again." The gates of the Beaumont estate clang shut behind Samara and her guards. Torches burn bright, throwing shadows across the grand courtyard. At the steps of the mansion stands Marcus Beaumont, her father. His posture is rigid, his eyes sharp as steel. His fury radiates like heat. Samara tries to steady her breathing, but she is pale, her cloak torn from the forest, her dagger still trembling in her hand. Marcus descends the steps slowly, each step deliberate. You. His voice cuts through the night. You disobeyed me. Samara lifts her chin, though her throat tightens. I needed air. Marcus's face twists. He seizes her by the wrist, dragging her into the hall. The guards avert their eyes. None dare intervene. The heavy doors slam shut behind them, sealing the mansion from the night. The grand hall, lined with portraits of their ancestors, feels like a tribunal. Marcus throws her into the center, his voice booming. Do you think this is a game? Do you know what lurks beyond these walls? Your ancestors bled to keep this family alive, and you repay them with rebellion? Samara meets his glare, her voice trembling but defiant. Ancestors who butchered innocence. You call it survival, I call it slaughter. The words hang in the air like fire. Marcus strikes her across the face. The sound echoes against the marble. Enough. You will not speak of hunters that way. You will remember who you are, Samara. You are a Beaumont. You are the heir to this legacy. And you will obey. Her cheek stings, but her eyes burn hotter. She spits the words out. I will never become what you are. Marcus signals to the guards. Lock her in her chambers. No visitors, no freedom. She will learn. Samara struggles as they drag her away, but Marcus's voice follows her like a curse. You will marry whom I choose. You will protect this family's name. You will be a Beaumont, or you will be nothing. The heavy door to her chamber slams shut, iron chains clinking as they fasten it from outside. Alone, Samara collapses against the bed, clutching her throbbing cheek, tears slipping silently down. But in her chest burns not despair, but rage. Far away, in the ruins of his cathedral, the vampire king stirs. His crimson eyes snap open. His breath catches sharp as though struck by an unseen force. He rises from his throne of stone, fists clenched. His voice echoes through the empty halls. Who dared harm her? The bond, faint but undeniable, carries her pain to him. He had tried to ignore it, dismiss it as weakness, but no longer. He summons one of his lieutenants, a loyal vampire named Kale, his figure cloaked and silent. Watch her, the king commands. Tell me everything. Where she walks, where she sleeps, who lays hands on her. None must touch her again, unless it is I. Kyle bows, vanishing into the night like smoke. In her chamber, Samara pulls the prophecy parchment from beneath her cloak. Her fingers linger on the words she cannot escape. The blood of hunter and the blood of knight will cross. She whispers, maybe it's already begun. Her cheek throbs where Marcus struck her, but her mind replays only one moment. Crimson eyes in the forest. His words echo, because I could not let them touch you. She clutches the parchment to her chest. Her heart knows what her mind dares not admit. She is no longer afraid of the king. She is afraid of what she feels. Kyle arrives at the Beaumont estate before dawn, unseen among the trees. He scales the walls effortlessly, perching outside Samara's chamber window. Inside, he watches her weep silently, then light a candle and begin to write in a small leather-bound journal. Kale frowns, a mortal with fire in her heart. No wonder my king is bound. He vanishes into the darkness to deliver his report. The king listens to Kale's words in silence. When the report is done, his jaw tightens. She defies her father, yet still bleeds for him. She clings to pride, yet softens when she thinks of me. His hand grips the stone throne until it cracks beneath his strength. This should make her easy prey. But his voice lowers, almost a whisper. Why do I not hunger for her blood, but for her heart? The cathedral trembles with the weight of his confession. Back in her chamber, Samara blows out her candle. Darkness falls. Her whispered prayer fills the silence. Whoever you are, whatever you are, please don't leave me alone in this. In the cathedral, the king's whisper mirrors hers. I will not. Samara's cried bitterly, her cheek still bruised, her eyes swollen from quiet tears. But her gaze burns with determination. She clutches the prophecy parchment under her pillow, whispering to herself like a vow. I will not be my father's prisoner. Not anymore. The moonlight spills across her chamber floor like silver threads, and in the shadows outside her window, Kyle, the king's spy, listens. Samara, however, begins keeping a secret journal beneath the floorboards. In it she writes her dreams of the crimson-eyed stranger and her fury at her father's tyranny. Her words are desperate, but also tender. He saved me, though he is the monster I should fear. Why do I feel safer in his shadow than in my father's light? Kyle watches through the window night after night, reading the truth in her gestures even when he cannot see the ink. In the cathedral, Kale delivers his report. My lord, she dreams of you, she writes of you, she hates her father but does not yet know it was you who destroyed him. The king rises, pacing, his cloak dragging like spilled night. His crimson eyes glow, but they flicker with conflict. She is the blood of my enemy, and yet she calls to me. Kyle dares to speak, voice low. My king, be careful. Such ties can weaken even the strongest of us. The king's lips curl. No, Kale, they will make me unstoppable. Through her, vengeance will become eternal. But his voice falters at the end, betraying a truth he cannot speak aloud. Vengeance is no longer all he craves. Samara grows restless. Each day her father parades new suitors before her door. Wealthy heirs, noble lords, all clamoring to claim her hand. She refuses them all. But she knows Marcus will not stop. Soon he will force her into marriage to bind their family to another house of power. Samara whispers to her journal, I would rather die in the forest than live as his pawn. That night, she begins her second plan of escape. She studies the guards' routines, the turning of the keys, the shifting of the patrols. She gathers scraps, a hairpin, a rope of torn sheets, a vial of oil from the kitchen she once slipped from a servant. This time, she will not run blindly. She will run with purpose. But Kale sees her preparations. From the shadows outside, he watches her knot the sheets, slip the hairpin into the lock, test the window bars with careful patience. He clenches his fists. He was ordered to watch, to report, not to intervene. Yet something about her fire unsettles him. If she flees again, she may die before he reaches her. And if she dies, my king will fall into ruin. Kyle makes his choice. On the night of the second escape, Samara finally slips the lock with her hairpin. The chamber door creaks open, but before she can step into the hall, a whisper curls around her ear like smoke. You should not be here. She spins, dagger drawn, but no one is there. A shadow shifts near the window. A figure steps forward, cloaked in black, eyes glinting silver. Kale. Samara gasps, pressing the dagger forward. Who are you? His voice is calm, measured. A friend, or an enemy. That depends on you. Samara trembles, torn between fear and curiosity. You've been watching me. Kale inclines his head. Yes, because he asked me to. Her heart races. She whispers, barely daring to breathe. Hey, he? You mean him? Kale does not answer directly, but his silence is confirmation enough. Samara lowers the dagger, her hand shaking. He's real, not a dream. Kale steps closer, but not threateningly. More real than you know, and he is bound to you, as you are bound to him. Samara's eyes glisten. Why me? I am nothing but the daughter of a cruel man. Kale's voice softens. You are more. I have seen the way you burn. Even caged, you shine brighter than those who walk free. For a moment, Samara sees something almost human in his eyes. Admiration, maybe even sorrow. But Kale straightens, his voice sharpening. If you leave tonight, you will die. The forest is full of those who crave your blood. You barely survived the first time because he intervened. Do not mistake chance for fate. Samara clenches her fists. Then what do? Rot here under my father's rule until I am married off like cattle? Kale's gaze hardens. You wait. The third moon has passed, but the prophecy has not ended. He will come for you, when the time is right. Samara shudders, clutching her cloak. And if I don't want to wait? Kyle leans closer, his whisper sharp as a blade. Then you will force fate's hand, and fate is cruel. Samara studies him, her breath uneven. Why are you helping me? If you serve him, why warn me? Kyle hesitates, his voice low. Because if you die, my king will be destroyed. And I... His words trail off, swallowed by the shadows. Instead, he says, Stay alive, Samara. That is all I ask. Then, before she can question him further, he vanishes into the darkness, leaving only the faint ripple of air where he stood. Samara locks her door again, her dagger clutched to her chest. Her escape will wait. For now. But her heart is a storm. Kyle's warning has only deepened her obsession. She whispers into the night. Then come for me. Whoever you are. Whatever you are. Come. Outside Samara's chamber, guards stand like statues, their armor gleaming. Inside, Samara sits at her desk, dagger by her hand, journal open. Her whispers fill the silence. They've caged me, but even walls have cracks, and walls always have secrets. She runs her hand across the prophecy parchment again. The words whisper in her head like a chant. The blood of hunter and the blood of knight will cross. The next day, Samara notices something strange. Marcus spends hours in the East Wing, a place forbidden even to her. She recalls servants whispering about the locked library, a hall sealed since her grandfather's time. Her father emerges one evening with ash smudged on his hands and a parchment tucked under his cloak. His eyes glow with a fevered gleam. Samara's heart races. What is he hiding? That night, she decides to find out. When the guards outside her chamber doze, Samara slips her hairpin into the lock once more. She moves barefoot through the silent halls, candle in hand. The East Wing looms ahead, shrouded in dust and cobwebs. The heavy doors of the forbidden library are chained shut, an iron padlock gleaming. Samara presses her hand to the lock, whispering bitterly, You would keep even knowledge in cages, Father. It takes her long minutes of patient work, but the hairpin finally clicks. The chains fall with a dull clatter, the doors groan open, and stale air breathes out, the scent of dust, parchment, and something darker. Samara steps inside, her candlelight trembling across rows of shelves stacked with tomes bound in leather, scrolls sealed with wax, and weapons mounted on the walls. But what seizes her breath is the centerpiece, a massive painting draped in a black cloth. She pulls it free and gasps. The painting depicts the massacre of the vampire clan. Hunters in armor drive stakes into men, women, and children with fangs. Flames consume their camp. At the center, a tall vampire with crimson eyes kneels in chains, his face contorted in agony. Above him, painted in cruel triumph, stands a hunter, Marcus's own father, wearing the same blood-red signet ring Marcus now bears. Samara staggers back, her chest heaving. Tears fill her eyes. They called it a victory, but it was slaughter. No wonder he seeks revenge. On a pedestal beneath the painting rests an open book, its pages cracked with age. Samara reads aloud in a trembling whisper, The bloodline of the Beaumonts shall bind the blood of night. Through the sacred ring the power of hunters is passed, not only to kill the night but to command it. Her hands tremble. Command. The night? The signet ring her father wears is not only a symbol of their house, it is a relic of power, perhaps even capable of controlling vampires themselves. Her blood runs cold. Father is not just protecting us. He is playing God. The library door slams shut. Samara whirls, and Marcus stands there, his eyes blazing with fury. "You dare," he snarls. His voice echoes like a lash. "You dare defile the sacred library. Read what was not meant for you." Samara steps back, but her chin lifts in defiance. "You slaughtered them. Women, children. You wear their blood like a crown. You are no protector. You are a butcher." Marcus strikes her again, harder than before. She falls to the ground, candle snuffed out, the room drowning in darkness. His voice drips with venom. "You know nothing, girl. Those monsters would have ended mankind if not for us. I have kept you safe. I have given you power, and still you spit on your bloodline." Samara rises, clutching her dagger. "I would rather stand with monsters than live as one." Marcus freezes, then laughs, cold and cruel. "Perhaps you already do. Perhaps that is why he watches you." Samara's heart lurches. "You know." Marcus leans close, his whisper a blade. "I know more than you ever will, child. And when he comes for you, I will be ready." Far away in the cathedral, the king jerks upright on his throne. His eyes blaze crimson, his hand clutching his chest. He feels it. Samara's pain, the strike of her father's hand. The bond pulls him deeper than before. For the first time, he sees a flicker of her vision. The library, the painting, the blood-red ring. His fangs bare, rage thundering in his voice. The ring still exists. He rises, cloak flaring like wings of night. His vow fills the cathedral, shaking the stone walls. No more waiting. Marcus Beaumont dies by my hand. Back in the library, Marcus grips Samara's wrist, dragging her toward the door. "You will forget what you saw, and you will obey, or I will make you wish you had been born in chains." Samara's eyes blaze with fury, but her voice is steady, clear. "I will never obey you again." Marcus halts, staring at her. This defiance is new, sharper than before. His jaw tightens. He doesn't strike her again. Instead, he smiles, slow and venomous. "Then perhaps it is time you understood what disobedience costs." He calls to the guards. "Chain her." Two armored men approach, their eyes uncertain, but Marcus's glare steals their resolve. Cold shackles close around Samara's wrists. Her breath quickens, but she keeps her chin lifted. Marcus leans in close. "You will learn, daughter, or you will break." They lead her through winding stairs to the dungeons beneath the Beaumont estate. The walls drip with damp, the air thick with mold. This place was built for prisoners of war, enemies of the hunters who were never meant to leave alive. Samara is thrown into a cell lit by a single torch. The door slams shut, iron ringing in her ears. She presses her hands against the bars, glaring at Marcus. "You call yourself a protector, but you are no different from the monsters you claim to destroy." Marcus tilts his head. "Different? No, child. Better. For they live in the shadows, and I make the shadows obey." He lifts his hand, the signet ring catching the torchlight like a drop of blood. "You see this ring? Your inheritance is not just wealth, Samara. It is dominion. But you are too blind to wield it, too weak. Perhaps I will give it to someone more deserving." With that, he turns, cloak sweeping the floor, leaving her alone in the cold silence. Hours pass. The dungeon hums with stillness, broken only by the drip of water. Samara paces like a caged lioness, her mind aflame. The vision of the painting, the prophecy, the blood-red ring, all whirl inside her. Her heart aches, but not from fear, from fury, from truth. She whispers to herself, "I will not inherit his cruelty. I will not carry his chains. If the king comes for me, let him come. Let him burn all this to ash." She presses her palms together, praying, not to the gods her family worshipped, but to the silent night. "If you hear me, king, come." Far beyond the Beaumont estate, the vampire king's footsteps echo in the ruins of the cathedral. Around him, his shadow-forged army rises from the earth. Not living vampires, but spirits bound to his vengeance. Kale kneels at his side. My king, your strength grows with her defiance. Each wound she suffers, each chain that binds her, it fuels you. The king's crimson eyes burn. He has seen through her pain, through her whispered prayers. He felt her in the dungeon, felt the iron on her wrists. She calls for me, he says. His voice is a growl, yet beneath it lies something unspoken, something dangerously close to longing. She suffers for the sins of her father, but she will not suffer alone. Tonight, the first blood of the Beaumonts will fall. He lifts his hand. The army bows. Prepare the shadows. We strike at midnight. The Beaumont estate lies quiet, moonlight spilling across the sprawling gardens. Guards patrol the walls, their lanterns swaying. The air is heavy, too heavy. Then the wind dies. The torches flicker. A strange, suffocating silence descends. From the tree line, shadows seep like black smoke, spreading across the grounds. One by one, guards drop their weapons, choking, clutching their throats. Invisible hands drag them into the dark. Inside the mansion, Marcus feels it first. His ring burns against his skin, a warning. He storms into the halls, barking orders. They are here. He is here. The hunters scramble, weapons drawn, while servants flee in panic. And beneath the chaos in the dungeon, Samara hears the commotion. Her pulse quickens. He came. A whisper slithers into her cell, deep, commanding, yet soft enough to caress her bones. Do not fear the dark, Samara, for you are mine to free. The shackles tremble. The iron begins to crack. Samara gasps, stumbling back as the chains burst apart, falling to the floor with a metallic scream. The cell door creaks open, though no hand touches it. A gust of cold night air sweeps through, extinguishing the torch. Samara steps into the shadows, her lips trembling into a smile. You heard me. Upstairs, Marcus storms toward the great hall. His guards collapse one after another, dragged into nothingness. The air thickens with the scent of ash and blood. And then, silence. The massive doors burst open. Standing in the threshold is the vampire king himself, cloak swirling like wings of night, eyes glowing with crimson fire. The hall erupts in screams. Servants scatter. Hunters raise their weapons, but the king does not flinch. His voice cuts through the chaos. Marcus Beaumont. The name is a thunderclap. Marcus lifts his hand, the signet ring burning red, casting light against the king's darkness. You dare enter my house. The king bares his fangs. I have come for what is owed, your blood, your soul, and your throne of lies. The two forces collide, the relic of hunters blazing against the eternal might of night. In the dungeon stairwell, Samara runs upward, her heart hammering. She bursts into the chaos of the mansion just in time to see the clash of titans, her father and the vampire king locked in a storm of shadow and fire. Her breath catches. She does not know whom to fear more. Yet in her heart something stirs, fierce and undeniable. She is no longer a pawn. She is part of this war. The great hall shudders like the heart of a storm. Marcus Beaumont, his signet ring blazing red with ancient power, clashes with the vampire king whose cloak unfurls like the wings of a demon. The sound is not just steel against shadow. It is older, deeper. The collision of two bloodlines, the echo of a massacre that never died. Samara stands frozen at the threshold, her breath caught in her throat. Her father, the man who chained her, and the king, the figure from her books, the phantom who haunted her dreams, locked in a battle that makes the air itself scream. Marcus thrusts his hand forward, and the signet ring explodes with searing crimson fire. The light burns through the hall, searing the shadows. Several of the king's phantom soldiers disintegrate into ash. Marcus roars, "You think yourself eternal? You are nothing but ash waiting to be scattered." But the king does not flinch. He steps through the burning light, his voice like a growl torn from the abyss. You burned my children once. You will not burn me. With a single sweep of his hand, the shadows surge, forming claws of night that strike at Marcus. Walls crack, pillars splinter. Portraits of old Beaumont ancestors fall, their painted faces shattering. Samara ducks as debris rains down. A hunter's sword clatters to her feet. She picks it up instinctively, the weight trembling in her hand. Her instincts scream, "Run," but her heart refuses to move. She watches her father unleash waves of red fire, each strike shaking the mansion, and she watches the king weave through them with inhuman grace, his eyes never leaving Marcus. For one brief moment, the king's gaze flickers toward her. Their eyes meet across the chaos. Samara's breath stutters. It is not hatred she sees in his crimson stare. It is recognition, as though he has been waiting for her. The hall becomes a battlefield. Hunters pour into the room, weapons glowing with sacred runes. They swarm the king, shouting battle cries. But he moves like a phantom. Blades pass through him as though he were smoke, only for his claws to slice men down in return. Kale, his loyal second, appears through the shattered windows, leading Shadowborn warriors. The hall erupts into a full battle. Light against darkness. Hunters against phantoms. Marcus fights like a man possessed, the signet ring feeding on his fury. The floor itself glows with blood-red runes as he slams his fist against the ground, summoning chains of fire that lash at the king. The king snarls as the chains wrap around him, burning into his flesh. Smoke rises from his skin, the scent of scorched shadow filling the air. Samara cries out without thinking, "Stop, you'll kill him." The hall stills for half a breath. Marcus turns, eyes blazing with disbelief. "Him? You pity him?" The king, bound in fire, lifts his gaze to her. Despite the pain, he smirks, a cruel, knowing smile. "She calls for me, even as you burn me." Marcus's fury doubles. He tightens the chains, snarling, "She will never belong to you. She is mine. My blood. My heir." Samara's heart twists. Her father does not see her, only his possession. And the king, even in torment, looks at her as though she is more than that. Without thinking, Samara rushes forward. The sword in her hand glows faintly as she slashes at the fiery chains binding the king. Sparks explode, the chains tremble, then snap. The king erupts free with a roar, shadows crashing outward like a tidal wave. Hunters are thrown across the hall. Marcus stumbles, his face twisting with betrayal. "Samara!" His voice drips with venom. "What have you done?" Samara grips the sword tighter, her chest heaving. "I chose, and I will keep choosing, even if it means defying you." Freed, the vampire king does not waste a breath. Shadows coil around him like armor. His voice thunders through the collapsing hall. "Your line ends tonight, Marcus Beaumont." He surges forward, claws raised, striking with the wrath of centuries. Marcus barely blocks, his ring blazing brighter, but his strength falters. For the first time, Samara sees fear crack her father's mask. The duel becomes a storm, fire and shadow tearing through the hall, shattering walls, sending shards of glass and stone crashing. Samara is caught between them, the air burning her skin, the shadows pulling at her soul. The Beaumont mansion begins to collapse under the weight of the battle. Chandeliers crash, walls split open, the roof groans. Servants and hunters flee in terror. Samara stumbles through the smoke, but her eyes never leave the fight. She sees her father falter, his strikes weaker, his fire dimming. She sees the king growing stronger, every moment feeding on vengeance, every wound turning to fuel. And then, the king lands a strike. Marcus crashes against the stone floor, coughing blood, the ring's glow flickering. The great hall falls silent, save for the crackle of fire and the whispers of shadows. The king steps forward, towering over his fallen enemy. His hand rises, claws ready to deliver the final blow. Samara screams, "Wait!" Her voice cuts through the silence. Both men freeze. The king looks at her, crimson eyes burning with rage. And something else. Marcus lifts his head weakly, blood staining his lips, his hand reaching toward his daughter. Samara, don't betray me. The king's claw hovers above Marcus's chest, the fate of the Beaumont bloodline in his hand. Samara stands only a few steps away, sword trembling in her hands, her voice raw from her scream. Stop. The king does not move. His crimson eyes burn with centuries of rage, the hunger for vengeance carved into every line of his face. His claw hovers inches above Marcus's chest, the final strike waiting. Samara stumbles forward, her gown torn, her skin smudged with soot, but her voice is fierce. Don't kill him. The king turns his head slowly toward her, his gaze piercing. He killed my people. He burned them alive. He made widows, orphans, corpses. This is justice. Samara shakes her head, tears cutting through the ash on her cheeks. This is vengeance, and vengeance breeds nothing but more death. You said his line must pay. I am his line. Then take me. The hall falls silent. Even the shadows seem to freeze. Marcus's bloodied eyes widen. Samara, no. The king lowers his claw slightly, considering her. You would give yourself to me? Samara's voice trembles, but she stands tall. If it spares another life, yes. The king studies her, crimson eyes unreadable. Then slowly he lowers his hand. Marcus gasps in disbelief. You spare me? Marcus spits blood, laughing bitterly. After all these centuries, you spare me because of a girl? The king's gaze never leaves Samara. No, I spare you because of her, but your suffering has only begun. He crouches low, his shadow pressing against Marcus's chest like a weight. You will live, but broken. Every day you breathe will remind you that your daughter defied you, that your line is mine now. Marcus's scream is drowned by the crack of shadows tearing through his body, not killing him, but leaving him writhing in agony, his strength shattered. The king rises, stepping toward Samara. She grips her sword tighter but does not move back. He lifts his hand, not in violence but in ritual. Shadows coil around his fingers, weaving like black fire. Slowly he presses them against Samara's wrist. A searing pain floods her veins. She gasps, dropping the sword. When the shadows fade, a mark remains burned into her skin, a sigil like a crescent moon wrapped in thorns. You are mine now, he says softly, almost like a vow. Bound to me by blood and shadow. No hunter, no mortal, not even your father can sever this chain. Samara clutches her wrist, panting. Her heart races, not only from fear but from something far more dangerous. A pull. A connection. She feels his presence in her mind now, a heartbeat not her own echoing inside her chest. On the ground, Marcus pushes himself up, weak and broken, his voice hoarse but filled with venom. Monster, you've poisoned her. The king smirks, his fangs glinting in the firelight. No, Marcus, I freed her. He turns to Samara. When you are ready, follow me. The night will protect you, where your blood never did. And with that he vanishes into the shadows, his army dissolving with him. The hall falls into eerie silence save for the crackling of fire. Samara drops to her knees, clutching her wrist, staring at the glowing mark. Her heart pounds with confusion, fear, rage, curiosity. Marcus crawls toward her, his body trembling, his hand outstretched. Samara, don't. Listen to him. You are mine. My blood. My heir. That mark is a curse. He will destroy you, just as he destroyed my world. Samara looks at him, her face torn between daughterly instinct and bitter truth. Your world? Or his? She whispers. Marcus's eyes widen. You dare question? He coughs blood, collapsing against the broken floor. His strength is gone. The hunters who remain rush to his side, but Samara no longer looks at him. Her gaze is on the shadows where the king vanished. That night in her chambers, Samara cannot sleep. The mark on her wrist burns faintly, like a heartbeat calling from beyond. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees crimson eyes watching her. And when she whispers into the silence, she swears she hears an answer. I am here. Her breath trembles. She grips her wrist, staring at the sigil. What are you doing to me? The answer is not words, but a feeling. Warmth in the cold, power in her veins, the sense of being seen, not as a pawn, not as an heir, but as something more. Samara stands at her window, the moonlight spilling over her pale skin. Below, the Beaumont estate smolders, half ruined from the battle. Her father lives, but his power has cracked. And somewhere in the night, the vampire king waits, patient, certain, bound to her now as she is bound to him. Samara whispers to the moon, "This is only the beginning, isn't it?" The mark on her wrist glows faintly in reply. The Beaumont estate lies in uneasy silence. The halls smell of smoke and blood. Tapestries are charred, windows shattered, and the once proud portraits of ancestors hang crooked, their painted eyes staring like silent judges. Samara walks the corridor barefoot, her steps soundless on the cold stone. She cannot sleep. Every heartbeat feels like two, hers and another's. The bond thrums in her wrist, the sigil glowing faintly beneath her skin. A whisper slides through her mind, low and intimate. You hear me, don't you? She freezes. Her breath catches. The voice is velvet and shadow, unmistakable. The king's. Samara grips her wrist. Stay out of my head. Impossible, the voice answers, neither mocking nor cruel, but certain. You opened the door when you chose mercy. Now your soul touches mine. Her chest tightens. I didn't choose you. I chose life. A pause. Then a soft chuckle, like thunder muffled by distance. And yet here you are, awake in the dark, speaking to me instead of him. She slams her hands against the wall, furious at herself, but the bond burns hotter, not weaker. And beneath her fury is something far more dangerous. Curiosity. Elsewhere in the estate, Marcus Beaumont lies propped against blood-stained pillows. His body is weak, his once commanding voice now hoarse. Hunters surround his bed, whispering strategies, but his eyes are sharp, burning with rage. That monster thinks he has claimed my daughter, Marcus growls. But blood answers to blood. She is Beaumont, and Beaumont blood does not bend. One of the hunters hesitates. My lord, the mark is ancient. We've never seen its like. If the king bound her. Marcus slams his fist against the bedpost, coughing blood from the effort. Then we break it, at any cost. His gaze darkens. If she resists, we remind her where her loyalty lies. Later that night, Samara slips outside, cloak drawn tight. The ruined gardens are silvered by moonlight, the fountains cracked and dry. She breathes the cold night air, trying to clear her head. But the bond pulls. Her chest aches, her veins hum, her pulse races. She whispers into the silence, "Why me?" And the answer comes, not from her thoughts, but from the shadows themselves. A figure steps from the darkness, tall and unyielding, crimson eyes gleaming beneath the hood of night. The vampire king. Her breath stutters. You came. He tilts his head. You called. Samara's instinct screams to draw her blade, but her hand will not obey. The bond sings between them like two chords on the same string. You marked me, she says, her voice raw. You've chained me like some possession. He steps closer, the night shifting with him. A chain can bind, or it can protect. Do you feel afraid, standing here before me? She opens her mouth to say yes, but the word does not come. Her body trembles, but not from fear alone. His gaze softens just enough to unsettle her. Your father would use you as a weapon. I do not. I see you. Her heart lurches painfully, because some part of her, the part starved of being seen as more than heir, pawn, or burden, believes him. Unbeknownst to Samara, one of the hunters has followed her. Hidden in the broken hedges, he watches with wide eyes as she speaks to the king. His hand grips the hilt of his dagger, but terror roots him in place. He does not intervene. Instead, he flees back to Marcus to deliver the news. Your daughter met him. She seeks him in secret. Marcus's expression hardens, his jaw trembling with fury. Then she has betrayed us. In the garden, the king reaches out, not to strike, but to brush his fingers against her marked wrist. The sigil flares at his touch, sending a rush of heat through her veins. Samara gasps, overwhelmed by the sensation, not pain, but connection, as though her soul had been waiting for this touch. He leans close, his voice a whisper meant only for her. Choose me, Samara, not as prisoner, not as pawn, but as queen of the night. Her lips part, words tangled in her throat. The world spins around her, her father's broken body flashing in her mind, the hunter's judgment heavy on her shoulders. But louder than all of it is the bond, a drumbeat that will not let her go. The night air is sharp, the garden ruin silent save for Samara's trembling voice. What if I say yes? The vampire king studies her, every line of his face carved in shadow and moonlight. His crimson eyes blaze, but not with triumph. With hunger, restraint, something far more dangerous than hatred. He leans closer, his words barely more than breath. Then the night will bow to you. You will be no man's pawn, no father's heir. You will be mine, not chained, but chosen. Samara's heart hammers. Her hand hovers over his, the bond between them thrumming like wildfire in her veins. Before her fingers can close the space, a harsh voice tears through the night. Samara! She startles, spinning. At the edge of the garden, torches flare, hunters armed and grim led by Marcus himself. Weak though he is, he has dragged himself from his bed, fury burning like iron in his eyes. Step away from him, Marcus growls, coughing blood but refusing to falter. You dare stand in my house whispering poison into my daughter's ear. The king doesn't move. His smile is slow, cruel, deliberate. Your daughter came to me. The poison, Marcus, was yours long before I touched her. Samara freezes between them, heart tearing in two. Marcus raises a trembling hand, his signet ring glowing faintly with fractured power. Samara, to me. Now. He has cursed you, but blood can still unmake what shadow binds. The king's voice cuts through, smooth as velvet, dangerous as a blade. Choose wisely. His blood seeks to chain you. Mine seeks to free you. Samara's pulse pounds, the mark on her wrist burning hotter with every heartbeat. Two voices, two chains, two worlds, both demanding her. Her throat tightens. Stop. Both of you. But neither man stops. Hunters close in, crossbows raised. Marcus staggers forward, each step a battle against his failing body. His hand shakes, but his voice is iron. If you take one more step toward him, Samara, you are no daughter of mine. The words slice deeper than any blade. Her chest constricts. Memories flood her. Training fields, her father's hand on hers as he taught her to wield a sword. His rare moments of pride, his constant demand to be more, stronger, better. Always his heir, never herself. Her hand trembles. The king leans close, his breath brushing her ear, low enough only she hears. He does not love you, he owns you. But I see you. Your fire, your mercy, your defiance. You think mercy made you weak tonight? No, Samara. It made you mine. Her knees nearly buckle. Every word seeps into her blood, sinking deeper than her father's orders ever did. She whispers, desperate, torn. Why me? Because, the king murmurs, you were born to end him, and to begin us. Marcus, enraged, raises his ring, shadows and light colliding as ancient power sparks. Hunters unleash bolts, but the king raises a hand, shadows blooming like a shield swallowing the arrows whole. The ground shakes as Marcus channels what little strength he has left. I will not lose her to you. The king's laughter is low, dangerous. You already have. Samara, caught between them, screams, Stop! The mark on her wrist blazes white-hot, a shockwave exploding outward. Torches shatter. Hunters are thrown to the ground. Marcus collapses to his knees, gasping blood. Even the king takes a step back, surprise flickering in his eyes. Samara stares at her glowing wrist, chest heaving. What did I just do? The king's gaze sharpens, awe mingling with hunger. You awakened it. Marcus coughs violently, crimson staining his lips. He reaches for her, but his hand falters midair. His voice breaks, not with rage this time, but with something rawer. Samara, don't leave me. You are all I have left. The plea cracks something inside her. For the first time, her father's voice carries not command, not duty, but desperation. Tears sting her eyes. She whispers, broken, I never wanted to leave you, Father, but you never let me be me. The king steps forward, shadow cloak rippling. His hand brushes her shoulder, steadying her. You don't have to choose tonight. The bond is patient. It will grow. When you're ready, I will be waiting. He turns his crimson gaze on Marcus, who kneels in the dirt, broken. Watch her slip from your grasp. Watch her see the truth. That is your punishment, Beaumont. Then he dissolves into shadow, gone as though he was never there. The hunters slowly rise, shaken and fearful. Marcus collapses fully, whispering Samara's name before darkness takes him. Samara falls to her knees beside him, clutching his hand, her wrist still glowing with the mark. Her tears drip onto the dirt, torn between loyalty and longing, blood and shadow. The night is shattered silence. The torches gutter out, their flames smothered by the shockwave of Samara's outburst. The garden reeks of smoke and damp earth. Samara kneels in the rubble, clutching Marcus's hand. His skin is clammy, his once powerful frame weak as paper. She presses her forehead to his knuckles, torn between love, guilt, and the burning ache of the mark on her wrist. Her whisper cracks the night. I didn't mean to hurt you, Father. I don't know what's happening to me. Marcus coughs blood, his voice ragged but fierce. He's inside you now, poisoning you. But I'll tear him out, Samara. I'll find a way. You are mine, my daughter, not his. Her heart lurches. Mine, the same word the king had used, but oh, how differently it sounded. From Marcus, it was a cage. From the king, it had felt like fire and freedom. Samara pulls away, trembling. For the first time, she cannot bear to meet her father's eyes. The surviving hunters gather at the edges of the ruins. Their leader, a scarred man named Garrick, steps forward, voice hushed but heavy. My lady, he says, bowing stiffly. Forgive me, but your bond with him, it saved us tonight. Without you, we'd all be corpses. Samara stiffens. You think this mark is salvation? It's a curse. Garrick hesitates, then shakes his head. A curse doesn't shield us from arrows. A curse doesn't bring a king to his knees. Whatever this power is, perhaps it's what our bloodline was always meant to wield. Samara's stomach twists. Their eyes, the same hunters who once sneered at her defiance, now look at her not with contempt, but awe, reverence, fear. She whispers under her breath, What am I becoming? Marcus, half-conscious, hears Garrick's words. His face contorts with fury. Silence, he rasps, forcing himself upright. She is no savior. She is bound to a demon. If you follow her, you follow him. His hand claws toward Samara's wrist, desperate. Give it to me. Let me sever it before it takes root. Samara jerks back, clutching her wrist to her chest. Fear flashes in her eyes, not of the king, but of her own father. No. The word slips out before she can stop it. Quiet, trembling, but absolute. Marcus freezes. His eyes widen with betrayal. His lips part but no sound comes. And in that silence, a wound deeper than any blade cuts between them. Deep beneath the earth, the night court stirs. Black stone halls carved from obsidian, lit by veins of crimson fire. Thrones of bone and iron encircle a great dais where the king now stands. He has shed the smoke of battle, but not the blood on his hands. His lieutenants gather, pale lords and ladies, ancient as ruin, their crimson eyes glowing with suspicion. One of them, a tall, silver-haired vampire named Varklith, snarls. You disappeared on the night of vengeance. You return empty-handed. Did you slay the Beaumont heir, or did you falter? The king's lips curl, not in anger, but in amusement. I did not falter. I forged something greater. He lifts his hand. A shadowed echo of Samara's mark burns across his palm. The court gasps. Whispers ripple like wind through dead leaves. A bond mark. Impossible. The blood of hunters cannot bind. She is his enemy, his prey. Varklith sneers, stepping forward. You risk everything. Centuries of planning, the blood debt of our kind. For a girl? The king's eyes flash, crimson fire filling the chamber. His voice thunders, shaking the stone. Not a girl. The daughter of Beaumont, the bloodline that slaughtered us. And now, she carries my mark. The court falls silent. The king continues, lower now, deadly calm. She is mine. Through her, the Beaumonts will crumble from within. Through her, our kind will rise again. And when the bond matures, she will be queen of the night. Gasps and murmurs, some horrified, some intrigued, some hungry for war. Later in the solitude of his chambers, the king stands before a mirror of black glass. He lifts his hand, tracing the mark's echo on his palm, and whispers into the dark. You feel me, don't you, little flame? Far away in her chamber, Samara jolts awake, clutching her burning wrist. His voice slithers through her veins, silk and steel. I told you. The bond is patient. Every heartbeat, every breath, you will hear me. And when you call, I will come. Samara stumbles back from the mirror on her vanity, her reflection blurred by flickers of crimson light. Tears sting her eyes, but she cannot look away. Her whisper trembles. Get out of my head. His laughter echoes softly, not cruel this time, almost fond. I couldn't if I tried. Her wrist burns faintly, the mark glowing like embers beneath her skin. She presses it into the sheets, trying to smother it. A whisper brushes her mind, low and dark. You'll burn yourself before you smother me, little flame. Samara gasps, clamping a hand over her mouth. The room is silent, yet she knows he is near. Always near. She curls tighter, tears sliding down her cheek. Get out of my head. But deep inside, a dangerous part of her whispers back. Don't stop. By dawn, the estate is chaos. Walls still cracked from the battle, banners singed. Healers swarm around Marcus, who lies feverish in bed, veins blackened from shadow wounds. Samara stands at his bedside. Her father grips her wrist, not the marked one, with surprising strength. His eyes blaze with fever and desperation. Samara, I will break it. The bond. I'll tear it from you if I must. She stiffens. And if I don't want it torn? The silence after her words is deafening. The healers freeze. Marcus's jaw clenches so hard, blood drips from his lip. You don't want it? His voice cracks, half rage, half heartbreak. That monster murdered your kin. He cursed you. And you... His hand trembles. You speak as though you choose him? Samara pulls her hand free, whispering hoarsely, I don't know what I choose, but I know I'm done letting you choose for me. She storms out, leaving Marcus gasping, the hunters exchanging troubled glances. Later, Samara finds herself alone in the library, the grand, dust-filled hall lined with her family's bloody history. Shelves of books describing vampire slayings, hunter tactics, trophies mounted like grotesque reminders. She runs her fingers over the spines, heart heavy. Her wrist burns. She pulls a blade from the shelf, a hunter's dagger, and holds it over her mark. If I cut it out, will you leave me? She whispers. The king's voice answers instantly, amused, silk wrapped around steel. Try if you like. Pain binds deeper than steel. But remember, you are not my prisoner, Samara. You are my equal. That mark doesn't shackle you. It crowns you. Her grip on the dagger falters. The blade clatters to the ground. Breathless, she grips the table for balance. She feels it now. Shadows gathering at the edges of her fingers, sparks of black fire dancing across her skin. When she lifts her hand, a flicker of the same power the king wields dances there. Her eyes widen. What am I? Meanwhile, Marcus summons Garrick, the scarred hunter captain, into his chambers. His voice is weak, but venom sharpens every word. She is slipping from me. From us. If the bond grows, we will lose her forever. Garrick hesitates. My lord, she saved us all. Perhaps the bond can be bent to our advantage. Marcus slams his fist against the bedpost, blood spraying from his mouth. No, it is a curse. She is mine, my heir, my blood. I will not let him take her. He leans forward, whispering with mad fire in his eyes. Fetch the black priests. If blood cannot break the bond, darkness will. Garrick stiffens, uneasy. The black priests are forbidden. Their rites, do as I command. Marcus growls, collapsing back onto the pillows. Before my daughter is lost to him forever. Far beneath the earth, the king walks the halls of his night court. He summons a shadow beast, a wolf-like creature with eyes of ember, and a body woven from smoke. He kneels, stroking its skull. Find her, he commands softly. Guard her. Let her feel me, even when I cannot be there. She resists me still, but when she learns I would give her my world, not just my wrath, she will come willingly. The beast bows its head and dissolves into smoke. That evening, Samara wanders the Beaumont Gardens alone. The air is heavy with storm clouds, the earth blackened from battle. A low growl freezes her steps. She turns, and out of the shadows the beast emerges. Enormous, terrifying, yet its eyes burn not with hunger, but recognition. Samara stumbles back. What are you? The bond thrums. She knows. You're his. The beast lowers itself as though bowing. Against all reason, Samara feels no fear, only connection. She kneels, slowly reaching out her hand. When her fingers brush the smoke fur, warmth floods her veins. The mark on her wrist glows. The king's voice drifts across her mind, gentle this time. A gift, little flame. A guardian for when I cannot be there. Let it remind you. I will never leave you to face the night alone. Samara's eyes burn with unshed tears. She whispers almost to herself. Why do you sound more like a savior than the man who raised me? The beast leans against her, a comfort she never expected. Rain lashes the Beaumont estate. Samara kneels in the garden, soaked, arms wrapped around the shadow beast's smoky neck. Its warmth is strange, soft, protective, nothing like the nightmares she was told lived in the dark. The bond pulses stronger, steady as a drumbeat in her veins. She feels him again, faint but undeniable. Do you see now, little flame? My world is not just terror. It is loyalty, devotion, even love. Samara swallows hard. Stop saying things like that. But her trembling fingers curl tighter in the beast's mane, because she doesn't want him to stop. Inside the estate, Marcus slams his fist against the cold stone wall, rage cutting through his fever. Garrick, loyal yet wary, kneels before him. My lord, the black priests await. They do not come without price. Marcus's eyes, bloodshot and burning, snap open. Price means nothing. If I must give them my blood, my soul, even hers, I will. The bond ends tonight. Garrick hesitates. And if she resists? Marcus grips him by the collar, spitting venom through his teeth. Then we remind her what she is. A Beaumont. A hunter. Not his queen. Samara dries herself by her chamber fire, the beast curled like a shadow beside her bed. It watches with ember eyes, silent yet comforting. She speaks softly, almost as though to herself. They'll hate me for this, for you, but I can't hate you. The beast tilts its head, smoke swirling into faint shapes, a crown, a flame, a throne. Samara shivers. He's showing me things. Why? The mark burns, and she feels the king's low chuckle echo inside her mind. Because you are more than you believe. They will chain you to their legacy. I would free you into your destiny. She presses her hand to her chest, whispering, Then why does it feel like being bound either way? At midnight, the estate doors groan open. Cloaked figures drift in, their robes soaked but untouched by the storm. Faces hidden, voices chanting in low, guttural tones. The air grows heavy, suffocating, as though light itself recoils. Samara wakes with a start. The beast growls, smoke bristling like fur. She clutches its mane, heart pounding. What is it? The beast snarls. Danger. Then she hears it. Chanting. From below, she creeps into the hall barefoot, the beast slinking at her side. The voices grow louder, vibrating against the walls. She follows them into the cellar. Torches blaze in a hidden chamber beneath the estate. Marcus lies at the center of a blood-drawn circle, chest heaving, his fevered body trembling. Around him, the black priests sway and chant, their hands slick with crimson ink. Garrick stands watch, jaw tight. One priest raises a curved dagger, its blade black as obsidian. We sever ties of blood and soul. We unmake the bond. She will belong to none. Samara gasps, and the beast roars, shadows exploding into the room. The priests freeze. Garrick's sword is already drawn. Samara! Marcus coughs, trying to rise, his eyes wild. Stay back. They can save you. Save me, she screams, stepping into the circle. This will kill me. One priest turns his hooded gaze to her. His voice is a hiss. No, it will leave you hollow, empty, without him, without anyone. Samara's blood runs cold. The beast launches forward, scattering the priests with fangs of smoke. Garrick grapples it, blade cutting through shadows that reform again and again. The chamber erupts in chaos. Marcus drags himself upright, grabbing the dagger from the priest. His hands shake, but his voice is steel. I'll do it myself if I must. Samara's mark flares white-hot. The dagger in Marcus's grip rattles violently, then shatters into shards of black glass. The priests stagger back in horror. It protects her, one hisses. His claim runs deeper than blood. To sever it now would tear her soul apart. Marcus roars, broken and furious. Then tear it apart. Samara stares at him, trembling. You'd rather kill me than let me be his? Marcus's face twists, torn between anguish and madness. Better dead than damned. The torches extinguish at once. Darkness swallows the chamber. A voice fills the air, low, resonant, undeniable. The priests collapse to their knees. Garrick stumbles back. Even Marcus freezes. Enough. Shadows bleed from the walls, taking shape. The vampire king steps forth, tall and terrible, eyes burning crimson in the black. Samara gasps. She had felt him, but never imagined he would come here. The beast melts into smoke and reforms at his side. The king's gaze fixes on Marcus. His voice is calm, but it drips with centuries of wrath. You would shatter her soul to keep her from me? And you call me the monster? Marcus tries to lift the shattered dagger, his hands trembling. She is mine, my daughter. The king steps closer, shadows licking at his boots like fire. She is not property, not yours, not mine. She chooses. Samara's breath catches. His eyes meet hers. And I will wait until she does. Samara stands between her father and the king, one trembling with obsession, the other cloaked in shadow and patience. The priests retreat, whispering of power too dangerous to touch. Garrick lowers his blade, torn. The storm rages above, shaking the earth. Samara whispers, voice breaking, "I never asked for any of this. But if I must choose..." Her words fade, drowned by thunder. Her heart pounds. Both men watch her, one with desperate love, the other with endless hunger wrapped in devotion. The mark flares brighter than ever, casting the chamber in ghostly light. Marcus leans against the shattered altar, shaking with rage and weakness. "Samara, come to me. You are not his." The king's crimson gaze never leaves her. His voice is calm, resonant, and merciless. "She is not yours either. The chains you forged with blood and duty, I have broken them. She stands free." Samara's heart pounds. Her voice is a whisper. "Free? I don't feel free at all." Marcus stumbles forward, nearly collapsing, blood dripping from his mouth. Garrick rushes to steady him, but Marcus shoves him aside. His voice cracks, not with power, but desperation. "Samara, please, I raised you, I bled for you. Every scar on my body is for you. Don't let him twist your mind. He's a monster, a killer." Samara's throat tightens. For all his cruelty, for all his control, she remembers the nights he stayed awake at her bedside when she was feverish as a child, the way he carried her on hunts before she was old enough to walk. Her eyes burn with tears. "Father." The king tilts his head, watching her anguish. His silence is a weapon sharper than any blade. The vampire king takes a single step forward, shadows curling at his feet. The priests bow deeper, trembling at his presence. He lowers his voice, softer now, almost intimate. "You owe him nothing, little flame. His love is a chain disguised as devotion. Mine is no chain at all. I ask only this. Choose yourself." The mark flares, responding to his words. She feels it in her veins. A pull, yes, but not a command. A promise. Samara clutches her wrist, trembling. "Why do you call me that? Little flame?" His eyes soften, crimson darkening to molten ember. "Because even in darkness, you burn. And I have not burned in centuries." The tension snaps when Garrick suddenly raises his blade, stepping between Samara and the king. His face twists in pain as he looks at her. "My lady, forgive me, but I swore an oath to your father. If you side with this monster, then I..." His voice breaks. "Then I must strike you down with him." Samara's breath catches. "Garrick, no!" The beast growls, smoke bristling like spears. The king raises his hand, halting it. His crimson gaze fixes on Garrick. "You would spill her blood to protect him? Then you are worse than your master." Garrick's sword trembles, his loyalty cracking like glass. His eyes flick between Samara's tear-stained face and Marcus's fury. "Don't make me choose," Garrick whispers. Samara steps forward, fire in her voice at last. "Enough!" Her cry rings through the chamber, silencing storm and chant alike. The mark blazes so bright it sears the stone floor beneath her feet. Shadows recoil, even the king stills. She turns to Garrick, eyes wet but fierce. "If you love me as family, then protect me. Not his obsession, not his hatred." Garrick staggers back, sword clattering to the floor. His knees buckle, shame bending his head. Samara faces Marcus next. Tears streak her cheeks, but her voice does not waver. "You are my father, and I will never forget what you gave me, but I will not be your weapon anymore." Marcus's face twists, something between fury and heartbreak. His voice is a rasp. "Samara, you don't know what you're doing." She shakes her head, lifting her glowing wrist. "No, father. For the first time in my life, I do." The king steps closer, slowly, deliberately, as though giving her time to turn away. But she does not. He stops before her, his shadowed hand reaching toward hers. His voice is low, reverent. "Then speak it, little flame. Your choice." Samara swallows hard. The chamber fades away. Marcus's ragged breath, the priest's whispers, Garrick's shame. All she hears is her own heartbeat, pounding with the same rhythm as his. She lifts her hand. places it in his. The mark flares, searing gold through shadow, binding their touch with fire and night. The king exhales. The sound is not triumph, but release, a weight centuries old lifting. Marcus collapses to his knees, a broken cry tearing from his throat. No, no, Samara. The king draws her closer, but does not kiss her, does not claim her lips or her body. His forehead lowers to hers, shadows swirling like wings around them. You have chosen, and now I will burn for you. Samara's tears fall, but her grip tightens in his hand. Her heart trembles with fear, with grief, but also with a dangerous, intoxicating relief. Marcus lies on his knees, broken, clutching his chest as though the very breath in him is rebellion. Garrick, unable to raise his eyes, kneels in shame beside him. The priests of shadow have scattered, their whispers trailing into silence. The storm has ended. Only silence remains. Samara feels the king's hand still holding hers, steady, unyielding. His forehead brushes hers, crimson eyes burning softer than she has ever seen. For a heartbeat, the world is reduced to them. Samara, Marcus rasps, his voice fractured with despair. Don't leave me. You are my blood, my air. Everything I fought for was, for you. Don't throw it away for him. Samara turns her head toward her father. Her tears glisten in the moonlight, but her voice is clear. You fought for your pride. You fought for your hatred, never for me. Tonight I fight for myself. Marcus reaches out his trembling hand, but Samara does not take it. His face twists with helplessness, a man who conquered monsters but could not conquer love. The king's gaze hardens. You still breathe only because she begged it. Do not squander the mercy you were never due. Marcus's hand drops. His eyes burn with grief and fury, but his power is gone. The king turns to Samara. His voice is low, reverent. This place has chained you long enough. Come, see my world, not his. Samara hesitates only for a moment. Her wrist still burns with the mark, her heart racing, but the weight she feels now is not dread. It is freedom. She steps forward. Together they walk across the ruined chamber, leaving Marcus and Garrick in shadow. The heavy doors groan as they open, moonlight flooding the hall. Behind them, Marcus's voice breaks into a scream. Samara, you'll regret this. He'll devour you as he devoured us all. But she does not look back. The night embraces them as they step into the open. Horses of smoke rise from the earth, carrying them beyond the ruined estate, across forests shrouded in mist. Samara holds tightly to the king as they ride, her head resting against his chest. For the first time, she feels no fear in the dark. They ride until dawn's first light paints the horizon, and there it rises, the king's domain. A city carved into the bones of mountains, its spires black as obsidian, its streets lit not by fire, but by veins of glowing crimson stone. Waterfalls of shadow cascade from cliffs, feeding rivers that glow with pale moonlight. Samara gasps, wonder in her eyes. It's beautiful. The king watches her, not the city. His lips curve faintly. It was once, before war, before fire. Tonight it is beautiful again, because you see it. At the gates, the remnants of his people kneel. Vampires cloaked in night, their eyes wide with awe, whispering in voices that tremble with reverence. The king returns, and he brings a queen. Samara freezes. Queen. The king steps before her, his voice carrying across the stone courtyards. She has chosen me, not as prisoner, not as pawn, but as flame to my shadow. No longer do we crawl in ash. Tonight we rise. Tonight she rises with us. The people bow deeper, shadows swirling in unison. Samara feels their eyes on her, a mixture of hope, reverence, and fear. Her heart hammers, but she lifts her chin. The mark glows on her wrist, its light spreading like fire through her veins. In that moment she feels it. Not just the bond with him, but with them. A future that is hers to shape. Later, as silence falls over the city, the king leads Samara to the highest spire. The world stretches below them, mountains, rivers, and endless night sky. He stands close, his voice softer than she has ever heard. For centuries, I dreamed only of vengeance. I thought love was a flame long dead. But then, you. Samara turns to him, her eyes glistening. I thought I was cursed, bound by my father's name, by blood I didn't choose. But you broke me free. Even if it means walking into shadow, I choose you. His hand lifts to her cheek, fingers trembling as though afraid she might vanish. And I choose you, not as prey, not as penance, but as the fire that gives me life. Their lips meet. It is not gentle. It is centuries of hunger, decades of loneliness, years of silence breaking at once. Shadow and flame entwine, the mark on her wrist glowing until the spire itself hums with power. The bond seals, not curse, not chain, but choice. From that night on, the story of the hunters fades. Their leader Marcus couldn't handle the betrayal and shame, so he killed his wife and his entire household and then poisoned himself. But another story rises. A king once bound to darkness now walks with flame beside him. His people follow, their shadows no longer whispers of grief, but shields for a future reborn. And Samara, no longer heir, no longer pawn, becomes legend. The girl who chose her own path, who bound love and vengeance into something eternal. On the balcony of their throne, the king holds her hand, his crimson eyes softer than moonlight. Forever, little flame. Samara smiles, the mark on her wrist glowing bright as dawn. Forever. And the vampires lived happily again and multiply in number.